Hey, it's Joe, also known as the Raw Meat Patty. Today I'm going to be working on my computer here. Today I'm going to be adding even more RGB to this guy. We have currently in the rig a 8700K with 16 gigs of RAM, a shit ton of memory, like 1.5 terabytes of SSD so far. Today I'm going to be adding an extra terabyte because I ran out of game storage. I'm also going to be adding the Lian Strimer RGB things to the computer power supply, and also the 8 pins as well on there. And also I'm going to be adding the Pacific Lux Plus lights all around the RGB to match the thermal take ones I already have. Also, we're going to be probably flipping this down, but just to show you what else I have here, I have a GTX 2080 Ti, a full EK aluminum GPU and CPU water block that I'm going to be adding eventually, and I have the G-Silk RGB RAM as well. It's really cool. Alright, so we're going to have to turn this guy off for the moment. So what I usually use for all my repairing is this nice ratcheting toolkit. It's nice to be able to turn it anytime you need to, especially in a tight case like this. You don't want something pretty large. From there, I'm going to have to take out my graphics card to start working on putting in the extra M.2 that I have in here. I currently have a 890 Evo at the moment in there, which is a 512 gigabyte. But I currently have to take out this big ass graphics card first to get to it. Always take out your cables before you actually pull it out. And of course I get the biggest graphics card you possibly can, so I have to pull out the shit pretty gently. And I have to take out my special Batman RGB. This is a 2.75 slot card, so it takes up pretty much as much room as you can, but it stays really cold as well. Alright, so I'm going to have to I'm going to have to remove my Vive wireless as well, just because that is in the way from the M.2 underneath. I already opened this because it was used, so I wanted to make sure that it was okay. This is the 850 Evo. This is really good for just if you need a game drive for your Steam library or your new Bungie library, because they're getting bigger with the Black Ops these days as well. It's all pretty. Look how small that is. I actually have 3 M.2 slots. Oh. I'm going to have to getting another one of these drives down the road. And you're just going to want to put that in gently. I might even be fucking this up, I don't know. There we go. You're just going to put that flat, but it doesn't actually go down because it is springs. You have to wait until you actually screw it in for it to go down. So and you don't want to over tighten these because these are really fragile, so you just want to put it in until it's pretty much as loose as a goose. Next, should we add the streamers or should we add the RGB? I'm going to add the RGB since I have all the stuff out already. It makes it a little bit easier. From there, we'll add all the different wires, which is probably going to be the biggest bitch of this build. Hit it. So it's just a shit ton of cables. You're used to all the RGB strips. These are the most common things you add to the computers. But I'm actually going to be adding these last, just because. The one nice thing about the thermal take kit specifically is it actually has 3 split wires. A lot of times these just come in one long run, and in the corners of your actual build you'll see the wires just kind of bending. It doesn't look really nice, so these ones you could actually nicely put in there without having to actually have these nice bowed lines in there. So I will have to put these in eventually. Before you do everything, you want to make sure everything works. Also, it has double-sided tape and it's also magnetic, so you want to make sure that you can get it perfectly set, and then you take off the tape as your last step. If I can get this shit out. These damn magnets these days. Alright, so the RGB's not working yet. Of course it doesn't. Why is that? Oh, there we go. We got one. See if we can get the others. Flipping and flopping. So I'm going to be adding this NZXT USB hub to see if that fixes my issue. I'm going to be running it off its completely separate USB header here, but I did run out of USB heads on my motherboard, so this will allow me to add more. Okay, so it's going to get its power from Molec specifically. From there it's going to go to take one of the USB headers on the motherboard, but then be able to split it to 4 other ones as well. And that actually adds 2 straight up USB ports in there, which is pretty cool as well. Makes it a little bit easier to get some of the RGB stuff in the back of your computer a little bit more organized because of that. Now we could retry the headers again, or the RGB fans, or covers. But before we put them on, I want to try them outside the case this time. Number 1. Number 2. Who does number 2 work for? And we got number 3. Where's number 3 at? Where did number 3 get to? Is 3 in the case? 3's in the case. Alright. I think we're good now. So that was the issue originally. It needed its own USB header specifically for this one. Which is another cube in the back of this computer that I have to figure out what the fuck to do with. Yeah, just leave it there for now. It's the final test. Fuck. How did none of them work now? What the fuck? Is that the wrong cable? How does... How? Ah, there we go. I got all 3 of them finally lit. I feel like this is like Christmas Vacation or something when he finally gets them all to work. This is nice. Look at all the colors. They all match too. These are the same LEDs that are in my fans. That's why I specifically got these RGBs in there. But now we could actually work to put these in their final homes and places. Because it works. Look at that. That's my cat crying. Misty! Misty! What's wrong? Alright. Now, do I want it more flush? I guess I would want it more flush on the bottom because you have... It's kind of what's showing there at the end.
She climbed into a garbage bag.
My cat climbed into a garbage bag. She okay now? Yeah. Alright. As long as my cat is fine. One time she got a bag stuck on her head backwards and ran into a wall multiple times. It was kind of funny, but that's kind of mean. But now we technically have all that RGB functional. We have to work on the Lian RGBs, like these guys right here. This one specifically is going to be for the CPU and motherboard power, the 24 pin. And then we also have here the 8 pin, a double 8 pin, which will go to the 2080 Ti, which I just got, which is really fucking sweet. I may have spent a little bit too much money on that. And you see here how they're doing the RGB. It actually does not kind of change the cables that are. It adds an extension specifically, and these are white cables. And these comb onto the original cables, and then you're going to actually be covering them with a fiber optics LED on top of them, which runs through a header. So this will kind of be covering up what you see on the outside of that. All these damn wires. Damn all the wires that ever were. I also have to be careful because all these are against my fans on the front here, which may cause grinding if I am pushing these too much against them. So with the Lian specifically, there's some things that I really don't like about it. It uses SATA power, which is fine. The one big drawback specifically, though, is it's really hard to kind of bend this cable, and it's not going to be the prettiest thing in the world, and it's going to be a little bit hidden as well. In the end, though, it's going to be something extra that you could add this RGB. I also ordered an SSD cover, which is a Superman. As you saw my Batman one earlier, it'll be kind of Batman versus Superman in the end. This is going to go on top of the new combed wire that's here. And also, I don't know why this isn't already installed on there when you actually get the product first off. It seems a little repetitive. Oh, and the other big issue is the, where did that get to? The part that actually plugs in, or they can control the pieces to, is actually covering up one of the PCI slot covers. That's where it screws into. So it's a little bit of a nuisance if you have too many peripherals to be plugged in, like your wireless cards and all those jibber jams. But in this one I just have enough. I'm actually going to have to put up my wireless card so that I could just use the wireless on the board, just so I have all these RGB goodness in there. Because who doesn't want some RGB goodness? Yeah, so this will be plugging in or screwing into the fan where you usually put your PCI ports. So this is a little bit of a pain in the ass because I can't even use just one of these adapters for both the Lian things that came out. I actually have to require both these to be plugged in for them both. Alright, so I'm going to probably put them on the bottom since the graphics card is so tall, and then I still need one for the Vive VR wireless setup for as well. So these will be plugged in. And then all the other things are going to be plugged into these as well. They don't even use a PCI slot, they just kind of just sit there for some dumb reason. Actually, I'm going to put these in last because the wires need to be plugged in, and I heard these are very fragile on some other people's channels. And these just kind of look like they snap in there really flimsily. You don't really get what you pay for with these, but it's going to be pretty in the end. You actually see these cables here. They're really flimsy that go on top here, and it's a little bit hard to get these combs 100% even. And also I don't know why it doesn't actually go over the entire white portion here. It should be at least for the entire end to end, unless the RGB fiber optics won't have enough color in them specifically. But we'll check that out in the end when we're all done that to see what they look like. And this is going to plug into the original cable. This is coming from my Corsair 1000 watt gold in the back of the computer. And then that's going to just kind of be stuffed in the back, so you just only see the prettiness, like so. Of course, this is going to be a tight ass fit. And we're probably going to have to... even comb this over until we get, this is actually going to be moving over here specifically when we do our hard tubing next, so that'll be a lot cleaner looking, and this will be showing 100% on this side, and then we're going to be doing some nice hard tubing to the CPU connected to my radiator. Let's see what else I have to plug in here, actual power cords. This could have definitely be done with something with Velcro in the back. That's why I don't really like this little adapter. There's no reason this needed to be screwed in here. I guess you could use the little adapter here, but I've had even the cheap RGB things come with IR remotes that could have been easily done with this. There's no reason that you have to have these clicky buttons. They're nice buttons though. They are clicky. Like the ASMR. We don't got any LEDs yet. Let's see if these buttons do anything. It would make sense if I actually had a power plugged into it. We're going to be adding the last one, which is actually going to be a lot more showing, which is going to be the 2/8 pin specifically here. That's going to be going on to this guy, and it'll make it a little bit prettier as well. This one's actually going to be way more prominent in the case. Now these guys are just going to be plugging into what we have here. So we're not going to have that bowed issue anymore. It's just going to be a nice flat line gum from the back of the case. Again, these things suck. At least these ones, oh no, they're the same. Shit. No bueno. Lian Lee. No bueno. So after all said and done, this is what we had updated for today. We have the 8-pin RGB added as well, and we have the CPU RGB in the back there. Along with that, we've added these nice little RGB strip all around here. From here, we're also probably going to be adding some hard tubing as well, and also some RGB fittings soon as well that'll be hooked up to the CPU cooler in the end. Also, I'll be streaming on this mostly every night. Also, my name is the Raw Meat Patty on Twitch, so if you want to see me there, I'll be there as well. From here, this is my first YouTube video. I hope you enjoyed my computer for the day, and I'll definitely be adding more in the future. Nice to meet you.
You said nice to meet you.
Don't record me!